Say roll around, sitting on doves, can't lie, I was high on shrubs.
So topical back with another video. I'm Strange Wang. He is Nate. Today we're doing top 10 A24 movies in honor of Civil War coming out. Not the Captain America one, the one with the really, really good director. Haha, jokes. Comic book fans pissed off. They would have clicked off the video if they even watched this video. Nonetheless, we usually do top 5s, but we already done a top 5 A24 movies. We love A24 so damn much. We expanded it to 10.
They've also come out with a lot more movies since we did a top 5 list. So some of which are probably on our list.
He'll tell you how our top 5s, in this case top 10, works, and then we'll get into the video.
So he'll kind of breeze through his 10 through 6. I'll kind of breeze through my 10 through 6. Then once we get to the top 5, he'll do 5 and 4. I'll do 5 and 4, 3, 2, 3, 2. Then we trade off number ones. We also have something called the Zemeckis rule, which just means if we both have the same movie on our list, but one person has it 2 spots or more higher, then we'll just talk about it once.
Number 10 for you boy, Strange Wayne, is going to be the lady right behind me. It's going to be Ex Machina.
Zemeckis.
Nice. Number 9, After Sun.
That's my number 10.
This film, I watched at the right time. The end scene of...
Ooh.
The end scene of him, After Sun, watched at the right time. I connected to it. I related to it. I felt everything I was seeing on screen. The subtlety that this film brought to mental health, silent pain, is just immaculate. It's perfect. Mm-hmm. And the end scene of the daughter seeing him dance to Under Pressure, which just also happens to be my favorite Queen song of all time.
Mine too. And
Queen has a ton of fucking bangers.
Yeah.
So that's saying something. But to take that song, repurpose it a little bit to fit that vibe, and that scene is just one of my favorite scenes of all time. It's heartbreaking. It's stunning to look at. It's one of the best scenes I've personally ever seen in my life.
That there's impressive.
So After Sun had to make my list. The dude just wanted a fucking rug and to make his kid happy.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I really love that movie too. I love like the abstract way that it, details their relationship and like what he's going through and like letting us kind of peek into that a little bit, but it's still mostly from her perspective and her just remembering like this trip that her dad took her on, and like that memory for her was such a good and happy memory. But then we get to see also that like the entire time they were on the trip, he was still dealing with like his personal demons and like slipping out when she's asleep and partying and doing all this other stuff. I agree with everything you said about like a really good way to show maybe a slight, I don't know if more realistic approach is the right way, because everybody's experience with mental illness is different, but this one is probably one of the more common ones.
Yeah.
As far as like dealing with depression, in that like most people keep it on the DL. They don't really want to talk about it. And so like maybe even more so like one of the better representations of like unhealthy coping mechanisms that people use, but it ultimately just kind of pushes them further down the tube. So great movie. Agree with you about the end scene. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Maybe the greatest A24 end scene of all time. That's a list for another day.
Yeah.
Because we could do openings and like we've done that for movies in general, but we could break it down.
Yeah.
But no list for another day. Number 8, probably not on your list, Red Rocket.
I knew it.
Sean Baker just makes such authentic movies of poverty and shitty people. I love movies about shitty people. I love the realistic, crazy scenarios that he put Mikey through in this film. He's a piece of shit.
Yeah. I've never seen it.
He's
but
a
I'm
real
sure he
piece
is.
of shit.
Yeah.
And at one point of view, He's down on his luck. He's a porn star who has to come back home because shit went south. And he just uses people. And he's like poor rednecks. So it's kind of funny. But it's also sad. And it's like a whirlwind of emotions. Because he is our protagonist. We are watching him get into trouble. Trying to do the right thing. Gets distracted. Goes off. And he's back in the limbo he was in before. And gets himself in trouble. So, Sean Baker just makes realistic shit. And I love it. I love movies about bad people. And this movie, to me, is funny, it's rewatchable, thought-provoking, and sad. Because
this guy consistently shows loser behavior. LB, if you will.
Number 7 is Enemy. Another film about self-destruction. And Jake Gyllenhaal meets some dude who looks just like him. And a giant spider. And the separation between who you are and your relationships with different people, and that just makes this film so thought-provoking, also relatable to a certain extent, because everyone has two sides to them. No one's happy all the time. People are suffering with stuff, and this film just highlights it of how not to go about it, because it's the wrong way. In a very extreme example, a little abstract example, I don't know his last name. Denis Villeneuve? Denis Villeneuve?
Yeah.
Like, him as a director. Go watch this movie. I know you saw Dune 1 and 2. I saw a meme.
We know what you did to that popcorn bucket.
Yeah, for real.
Was it you that sent me the American Pie meme?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. Right here. His directing style, what he can do with a budget and CGI is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Dune 2, perfect example. Budget for that should not match the quality of that film, is what I've been hearing.
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
It's nuts, yeah.
His films are fucking beautiful. More people need to go back and rewatch this. This is not your Blade Runner 2049. This is a story about a man and his demons, his self-destruction, masked with cinema.
It's kind of what Blade Runner 2049 is, but
I guess.
Number 6 is going to be The Lobster. I fucking love this film. It is so weird. This was my introduction to Yorgos Lanthimos, and the way he takes simple ideas and masks them in obscurity and weirdness is beautiful, and it's something I love about cinema. It's something I love when it comes to film in general, taking corny ideas and masking them, whether it's in horror, bad deeds, or evil people, masking it as something else to distract you. And how he does that in this film is, if you're single by a certain age, you have to go to this camp, and it's a dating camp, and if you don't meet someone and fall in love, then you're basically useless and get turned into an animal. And he chose a lobster. So the idea of marriage and love and relationships, society standards, all that makes it such a thought-provoking, fun, weird movie that I absolutely love. And if you haven't seen it, give it a chance. Colin Farrell, phenomenal.
You're not wrong.
My number 10 was After Sun. My number 9 is going to be Uncut Gems. We talked about this before filming. My bottom, 4 were really tough because even the movies that I cut could have been on here and I would have felt comfortable with it. I just had to make a decision. And so I went with Uncut Gems. Mostly because I just really love that this was an Adam Sandler movie. He crushed it. This is nothing that anyone would have ever expected from him. And he knocked it out of the park. It's got the Safdie touch on it. I didn't feel like like so many people were on the internet talking about how like uncomfortable this movie made them, and like it felt anxious the whole time. I didn't really feel that way personally, but I still really, really enjoyed it. The, I guess, twist that you could call it at the very end, did not see that coming until like 4 seconds before it happened, and then I was like, "Oh shit,
are they gonna do this?"
I know, like he's gonna do it." And then it was like, even the 4 second preparation time I had in my head, it happened, and it was still just like, holy shit, like they did it. And it's like, it's heartbreaking when it happens, but it is like, it elevates the movie for sure. I mean, like, you fuck around with the wrong people, like it, you know, even in movies, it doesn't always end well. And so it has like some of the elements you were kind of talking about with Red Rocket in it. He's really not a good guy. He is trying, and like in this, a lot of times in movies about bad people, you will advocate for them and say that you think they're trying, and I will disagree avidly that they're just still being really shitty. But like he really is, like he is trying to get the money stuff figured out. He is trying to reestablish his relationship with his wife, whether that means romantically or just like being on good enough terms. And it ends the way it ends. A great movie. Love it. Number 8 for me, you already told me you got cut from yours, is Lady Bird.
Yeah.
I love Lady Bird. Lady Bird was kind of like early on in the wave of like the deserved and needed and appreciated string of like movies about women, and I really appreciated that. Like, it's insightful to me, it's educational to me, and Lady Bird's relationship in that movie in a lot of ways heavily mirrored someone that I was very close to at the time's relationship with their mother. And so even though like I could only relate to a certain extent because I am not a teenage girl and never have been a teenage girl, I still could connect to it in some way. Excellent performances, and I mostly appreciate it for like being an introduction to Greta Gerwig for me, because I love her and think she's incredible. So that was my number 8. And number 7 for me, I have The Florida Project.
7?
7.
Zemeckis.
Okay. Still not going to be nearly as big of a Zemeckis as mine was, but and then 6, you also told me you cut this one already. I have 8th Grade. Similar to Lady Bird in a lot of ways. But I could relate to this one even more because when I was in 8th grade, I had a shit ton in common with the protagonist of 8th grade. Like, 8th grade is a really, really weird time. There are some kids that for some reason are just like already turning into beautiful people. I mean, externally, like physically. And some of us get kind of left behind in that. I was awkward. I was super chubby. I liked weird things that the other kids didn't like. I was socially awkward. Like, was raised way differently than most of the people I went to school with and just generally did not fit in. But once I really started making some good friends who were like me, it was absolutely life-changing. And I love that she ends up with the nerdy kid at the end and stops trying to be like the other kids and like just accepts him for who he is and herself for who he is. It's a very touching movie. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, this could have easily been top 15.
Yeah, for
without
sure.
a fucking doubt.
Yeah. I had it down to 14. If we did 15, I would have had no choice but to put Moonlight in, even though I would hate it. But
you've only seen 15 A24 movies?
No, but out of the ones that were left, it like I think it would have been the one that I made 15.
You need to watch X and Pearl if you ain't seen them. They're on Netflix.
Yeah, nice.
They actually might make your... We're not horror people, but...
Yeah.
Speaking of not being horror people, number 5, Hereditary.
It's my number 4.
Hereditary was a big awakening for me as a non-horror fan.
Yeah.
That was dabbling in horror. I think the horror movies I've seen other than classics that I actually liked and enjoyed, It Follows, Babadook. And that's it. And then Hereditary came along and blew me away. I'm trying to think of a head thing. Because their head pops
Just
off.
really knocked your head off.
Yeah, it's like...
Instead of your socks.
Yeah, but I couldn't think of one.
Yeah.
My head wasn't showering on now. Not good. It wouldn't have been funny anyways.
I ain't coming for no foolishness.
But Hereditary, with its themes, underlining themes, the story, the performances, the creepiness. If it wasn't for two assholes sitting next to me laughing when that poor little girl's head came flying off because he hit a fucking sign, that would have been a perfect movie experience.
It wasn't laughing because it was funny. I was laughing because it was shocking, and that's my response to things like that.
Yeah. But
It's a defense mechanism.
this movie was so fucking good. Him and I spent 3 hours in the parking lot discussing this fucking movie.
Yeah,
And horror and what A24 was doing with it, how cool it could be. And Ari Aster, his style and whatnot is carried on throughout all of his films. I like all of his other films. This one, I do think is the best. And it's going to be hard to top. But when it comes to horror, I'm more open as a film goer because of Ari Aster and Hereditary and what it brings to the table, what it can do. I don't sleep on it like I used to because I'm a scared little bitch. I don't like jumping.
You're a pussy.
That's fair. Yeah, like I said, it's my number 4. Toni Collette absolutely snubbed at the Oscars in 2018. Did not even get nominated, and that's BS. She's incredible in this movie. And so is everyone else, honestly. Like, absolutely incredible. Other people have said this. We said it before I heard other people say it, so I'm going to say we said it first. Hereditary isn't, like, just a scary movie. It is a really, really good movie that just happens to be scary. The script in it, like, screw genre. Hereditary, like, I mean, there's, like, movies that have excellent scripts throughout history. In the past 10 years, if you told me to sit down and make a list, like, top 10 movies with best scripts, I would probably put Hereditary on that list.
Wow.
It is an incredible script. It is all delivered well. It is thrilling. It keeps you involving and guessing until the very end. It avoids a lot of your main horror tropes. And I just really, really love that movie a lot.
Side note.
Also a beautiful movie for like,
Yeah.
that like 90% of it is shot in the dark. Beautiful movie.
Side note, we do Oscars for genres. We did horror. This film cleaned up.
Yeah.
I mean, it was between... It didn't win every Oscar, but like there was 2 films that were just kept. Mm-hmm. And because it's that damn good.
Yeah.
Top 5 greatest horror movies of all time. I think it's hard to debate someone saying against that. But my number 4 was the Zemeckis.
Oh, okay.
The Florida Project.
Yeah.
Love the Florida Project. Again, Sean Baker. Filmmakers in environments make really good movies about their environments. Spike Lee, movies in New York. Mm-hmm. I'm not Irish. Italian movies, Scorsese. Sean Baker made a fucking phenomenal movie about people of Texas and then went to Florida and made one just as fucking good. Mm-hmm. Tangerine or Never Going Back. I don't remember which one he did. I think it was Tangerine.
I think so.
I don't remember where that was set.
Yeah.
Another really good fucking movie.
Pretty sure it's also Florida, but
Well, he's got
I could
Florida
be
down
wrong.
pat then.
Yeah.
But Florida Project,
He really understands them Florida man.
yeah, fucking incredible, authentic. He understands poverty. He gives you this neo-realistic world that is around you. You just don't think about it or give it time of day to understand it. Because I wouldn't talk to her if she came up to me talking parking lot, talking about buy some perfume.
Yeah.
No, leave me the fuck alone, lady.
Trying to sell Disneyland passes and shit.
Trying to sell pussy and Disneyland tickets. Dog, fuck out of here. Like, I look at her, I'm like, she might be the one who came up with the term hoe bath. Like, she looks poor.
Damn.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. I grew up poor. But she's white trash.
Right.
And for him to put you in that world and to have this film be mostly from the viewpoint of these kids, the innocence of children, and they're little shitheads too, and I absolutely love it. But
They're not that bad, but yeah.
they set a fucking building on fire, and they're like 6.
Yeah, but they didn't like...
They're 6.
I give them a pass on that one.
So, they're little shitheads. I love them. I love the story. I love the idea of innocence being taken away. William Dafoe's character. Everything in this film I love.
Yeah.
It's just a very moving, emotional, all around, name an emotion. It's in this film. Except for, like, I wasn't scared. But the scene, just YouTube the scene of William Dafoe confronting the pedo.
Yeah.
Like, this movie has so many good moments in it that it's just like... I was surprised I put it this high, honestly.
Yeah.
When I was looking, I was like, damn.
I
love this movie.
Yeah, like I said, my like 4 through 7 were really, really difficult. And like I had Florida Project higher, and then it was even lower. And then I was like, oh no, that's definitely not right. And so it was hard for me to figure out where to put it. And so it really just had to come down to like considering a lot of things. But
Tony the Tiger watched it. You know what he said?
what? That's great.
Whack.
Absolutely beautiful, beautiful movie. What they did with the colors in it, enhancing the color that hotel already was phenomenal. We've been there, did not stay there, just wanted to see it.
I did get a blowjob behind the hotel, though.
Sure.
Why the fuck you lying?
Great movie though, really good. Like it's a really good look into a real like possible scenario. Like there's not a single part in that movie that isn't like a stretch to like the way that someone's life could legitimately be, you know. Now all of that stuff happening within a maybe 2-week span, that might not necessarily happen, but like yeah, a poor woman with very low morals who has a daughter living in a crappy motel, very likely to resort to the things that she resorts to make money. A kid being super innocent and that just being their life, and them not understanding how like less off they are than other people. That's a real thing that happens. Some creepy pedophile dude showing up to a shitty motel to prey on kids who he knows parents probably aren't paying attention to them. That's super plausible. And Willem Dafoe is really what sets this movie like to the moon. He's absolutely incredible in it, being this sort of like pseudo, I would almost say like grandfatherly figure over like fatherly figure, because it's like he knows the kids aren't his responsibility, but he is like haunted by the feelings of responsibility that he feels for them
Because of his son.
right. And so yeah, it's just an excellent movie. It's very good.
And it's probably William Dafoe's least weird performance of all time.
That's also probably true. I don't know. You ever seen Clear and Present Danger? Some of his early stuff, he was like pretty normal.
Ask me if I've seen a Harrison Ford action movie.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Still gots.
So my number 5 is Past Lives.
I love this because I told him I left the theater, texted him and his wife, lovely lady. I said, you guys, especially you, Nate, I think you'll love this movie.
Yeah.
Saw it. They were like, it was fine. Next week, a little better than fine. The week after that, it was good. Motherfucker loves this movie, dog.
I told you it was growing on me.
I know. I just like
I
being
wasn't
right.
shy about it.
I like being right. And
yeah, I would really hope
you're right.
that like after 10 years plus of knowing me, you would be able to tell what movies I would like.
I know, but you basically said I was wrong.
I didn't
But
say
I was
you
right.
were wrong. I just said that it was fine.
I said you was gonna love it, and fine was not acceptable.
Yeah.
Love and fine. There's a huge gap right there.
Okay. Anyways,
I was right.
yeah, it's a really good movie. Incredibly well made. I never doubted that. It did not hit me like super emotionally hard when I watched it. I would really like to watch it again, and definitely will at some point, because the more I thought about it, the more I realized this pretty much immediately. I went and saw the movie with my wife, who I love unconditionally and dearly and think is the best thing in the entire planet. And I am very content and happy with where I ended up in the romantic side of my life. And because of that, past lives doesn't really mean shit to me. Like, I'm not, like, that scenario is so far removed from where I am personally in my life that I was just like, sucks for them. She's kind of being shitty. Like, but the more I thought about it and thought about how the way my life used to look, I realized very quickly that if the decisions that I had made to get to the point that I'm at weren't made and I made different decisions, then that could honestly be a really, like, real scenario that I could have potentially faced based on the track that my life was on at one point. And so thinking about that made that movie hit a lot harder for me. Like, the characters in it are all sorts of screwed up. I mean, like, her and the wormy little white dude, I can't remember his name. You know that actor's name?
No.
Her husband. The conversation
Wormy.
they have in bed is, like, super interesting because, like, they acknowledge that their marriage was literally a green card marriage, but she still insists that she cares for him and loves him. He clearly loves her a lot more, but they just been in this weird marriage for so long, and then homie just shows back up, which, like, is also super fucking disrespectful to know that someone is married and, like, still go after them like that. Y'all can have all the daydreams you want about how if you really love someone, you should go after them and it shouldn't matter. No, that's fucking selfish and that's mean. And, like, it's mean to the person that they're with. It is mean to that person to put them in that position. And you're being mean to yourself because more than likely, like, it's not going to end well for you. And so there's just, like, so much to dissect in that movie, which is why I started to like it more and more as I thought about it, because I just really love films that have a lot of things to dissect, especially emotionally. And so I feel like it deserved a spot, so it's my number 5.
What he's trying to say is, be lonely and sad and you appreciate film more.
Sure. I mean, I think that's kind of true for art in general,
but
really. And then my number 4 was Hereditary, so.
Don't really be happy as you can. Number 3 for me.
Well, just be sad for a really long time first so you can appreciate art and then be happy. And yeah. Damn. What?
I'm second guessing my top 3 now.
Oh.
Number 1 solidified. Ugh.
Yeah, mine too.
I'm going to do how it is on paper. Because I've seen number 2 more. That's why number 2 is going to stay my number 2. Number 3 for me is going to be Everything Everywhere All at Once. Number 2, Good Time. Safdie Brothers. This, to me...
Sorry, I'm laughing because I just had the realization that you're about to say Zemeckis when you're done talking about Good Time. But that's okay.
That's fine. I'm surprised it's that high on your list, honestly.
Yeah.
The Safdie Brothers, to me, made me anxiety-ridden. Like, running up the walls while watching this movie for the first time. This movie's so fucking good. Robert Pattinson, it was a fucking performance of a lifetime. Shitty people in shitty situations, and just seeing what they'll do. It's like putting a hungry rat in a maze with another rat and just see what he's going to do.
Passengers?
What? Passengers? What's that?
That really crappy Chris
Pratt movie?
Yeah.
But I didn't see it. The shenanigans he gets into, so fucking insane. I love everything about it. Safdie Brothers' directing style remind me a lot of Scorsese's After Hours, but 20,000 times better. And to say, had they made a movie similar to Martin Scorsese, but made it 20 times better, is insane. That's enough reason you should go and check it out if you haven't. You haven't seen this movie, I'm assuming.
No, I've never seen it.
God. I love this movie. It's so fucking good. I'm not going to say much more because I want him to watch it and be surprised and in awe. And I feel like I've already hyped it up too much. Go watch that shit. It's fire.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Surprisingly, this is the one that surprises me the most. I've never seen The Lobster, and I also never knew what The Lobster was about. And like after you described it, I was like, I want to watch that.
Dude, you definitely put those two on your list.
I don't know, like...
Good Time may still be on Netflix.
I think it is. The Lobster's streaming somewhere, too. I just saw it the other day, but...
I think on HBO.
Yeah. So that was your number 2? Were you done talking about it? Yeah. Okay, cool.
I want you to watch it. I want you to watch those two movies as soon as possible.
Not tomorrow, not after breakfast, now!
My number 3 was not directed by Robert Zemeckis, but you are still going to hear his name because it's mid-90s.
Zemeckis.
Yeah. And then my number 2 was the Zemeckis from way back when, which is Ex Machina. Disrespectful you had it that low on your list, but I get it. I'm way more the sci-fi person than you are. If you're going to ask me to make a top 3 science fiction movies ever made, this is in the top 3. I don't know where exactly because I have to think about it, because first I'm going to have an argument with myself about whether or not I want to deal with other people trying to tell me that Star Wars isn't science fiction, even though it is. But anyways, Ex Machina, absolutely incredible. Stellar performances. Second time I ever saw Oscar Isaac in a movie. The first was Inside Llewyn Davis, and I was like, he's really good. I've never seen this guy before, but I really enjoy watching him. And then I saw Ex Machina, and I was like, Oscar Isaac is an incredible fucking actor, and he should be in more stuff. And then they put him in Star Wars, so this conversation has come full circle. And he's also in Dune. Man, he really loves his like sci-fi space
Annihilation.
stuff. Yeah, true. Dang. Homie's he's got a type.
He was Apocalypse and X-Men, if you want to count that.
Well, anyways, Moon Knight, if you want to count that. But I didn't watch it. I don't want to watch it. I think it'll ruin Oscar Isaac for me.
He's actually really good in it.
I'm sure he is. I just like... The distaste is for comic book stuff is real now. Regardless, Ex Machina is absolutely incredible. And for the longest time, the biggest theme of this movie that I was stuck on was the whole like AI thing and like what I can do, and like all the science fiction aspect of this is absolutely incredible. And Domhnall Gleeson is like my dude. He's in so many movies that I love, and now he's doing this like big crazy science fiction project, which is way different than anything else he normally ever does.
Also in Star Wars.
And also in Star Wars. In a Star Wars movie that Oscar Isaac is in. And so I loved that. And then like the setting was awesome because it just puts you in this cage, and it's like you can sense that it's a cage before Domhnall Gleeson even knows that it is. And like you can sense that something isn't right, and like you're like, oh, is it the robot that's not right, or is it Oscar Isaac that's not right, or like is there a third party, like is the corporation they work for that's just not right? There's just like, it's so unsettling the entire time. Obviously homie doing his little disco moves is just like, what the is going on, man? Like, and I love movies that just make me say that, like, and then have a really good payoff. And this has a really good payoff. And the more removed I am from the first time that I'm watching it, I'm also thinking about all the other themes in it, like manipulation and like I don't want to take the time to think of a better word for it, but like essentially the dangers of simping. Well, like, that's a real thing, and it's like a real unhealthy thing to like just let yourself, without any emotional checks at all, just like head over heels let someone, or let yourself like get that devoted to someone because you're lonely and you think they're the coolest thing that you've ever met. Keep that shit in check. I'm not saying it's not going to work out. I'm not saying don't go after it, but like you need to be checking in with yourself and people you trust regularly to make sure that you are not too far off the deep end too soon. And he is way too far off the deep end too soon. And guess what? Shit does not work out for him. And I honestly never even thought about that the first time I watched the movie.
I didn't think about that either.
I didn't really have a super healthy view of relationships at that point when I watched the movie for the first time. And now that I have put time and effort into developing healthier thoughts about that stuff, I think that is a really apparent and obvious theme of that movie.
I want to rewatch it now.
Yeah. And it's like, I get it. she's really kind. She's nice. She's a damsel in distress. She's like not your typical like manic pixie dream girl, but like she is like this perfect, strange, beautiful thing to him, and he just wants to help her and protect her, and she makes him feel good about himself. And it's like that is like I could take that sentence and apply it to so many people that I know's lives. I could have applied it to my life at certain points in time. I don't know how many people are going to watch this, but I guarantee you at least one of you has felt that way at some point in time, and it's dangerous. It's not necessarily bad, but it is dangerous, and you have to keep that shit in check. And so that you take this really cool theme that I never noticed before until I literally made this list 3 minutes ago. I thought about this literally 3 minutes ago when I was trying to think of what I'm going to say about Ex Machina. And then you take the sci-fi elements and like how good of filmmaking it is. Freaking love it. Absolutely incredible movie.
That's a fact.
I want to bump it up. That was such a good explanation and explaining it. I already love this movie.
Yeah.
Not a sci-fi guy. Probably my like top 3 favorite science fiction movies of all time. First time I watched this movie, it had me on the edge of my motherfucking seat. It's one of those rare occasions where I watched it for the first time. It ended. I pressed play once again, and we did the double feature of the same movie twice because it was just that damn good. And the thought provokingness, AI scary, is terrifying to me. The different viewpoint that this film took and still made it scary.
Yeah.
Hats off to it. Is different. It's unique. It's honestly
Damn near perfection.
If it isn't a perfect movie, it's a 99 out of 10.
It's incredible.
Out of 100.
Such a good movie.
And what he said about it makes me want to rewatch it and honestly put it much, much higher.
Hooray.
Holy shit. Like,
yeah, I know. I'm not
I
kidding.
want to rewatch it right now.
I'm not kidding. I really thought about that like 2 minutes before we started filming.
And we've been talking about this movie for years.
Right. Yeah. Hidden themes. Yeah.
Like, I don't watch movie reviews or movie content because
Yeah.
I don't want my opinion to be, like, swayed. Like, if I see, like, a headline on Twitter or Instagram, that's different. But, like, I don't dive into movie content.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's, like...
Something that I'm sure someone has pointed out. That cannot... I mean...
Did it just go over our heads for, like, 10 years?
Well, I feel like everyone focuses on the filmmaking, which is understandable.
Yeah.
They focus on the performances, which is also understandable. And then, like, because it's just such a hot topic, everyone always focuses on the AI aspect. And this is, like, a really common theme in, like, AI is bad and going to take over the world movies. But I feel like the part of that also doesn't get talked about as much is Oscar Isaac's character, because he created this thing, therefore he feels like he is its master. But it is, in fact, in the movie, a true AI, meaning it is now sentient. And it's not a child, it doesn't need you to take care of it. So it's like he essentially has a human being enslaved that he thinks that he's in charge of. And, like, that's the main problem, is the people, not the AI.
Slaves.
And, like, so there's really a lot in that movie to dive into.
Yeah.
And so I would be surprised if no one else has ever specifically talked about that part for. I would be surprised if many people have gone super in depth about the relationship aspect of that movie before. They were probably just like, oh, and don't simp over robots or something. But like,
fucking loser.
Yeah.
I
mean, like, and like he gave them vaginas. Like his intentions were incredibly clear with the robots. Like,
somebody out there's like, it's a metaphor for the Japanese sex doll coming to America. Body pillow, whatever they call it. But another thing, and we've like mentioned this casually, but I want to be specific and point it out. First introduction of Alex Garland for us. Alex Garland went on and has done a lot of great things.
Yeah,
a lot of great filmmakers. Yorgos Lanthimos just got nominated for Best Picture. Where did he get his name from? For most people, A24 stuff.
Yeah.
So, a lot of really good talent discovered by A24. And that's something I love about it, because You hear these names, you don't know them.
That's probably. I don't know. I don't know enough about his career to say this for sure. But A24 was probably most people's introduction to Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah,
and he just directed what is probably going to be one of the if not the biggest movie of the year.
yeah. I think he did not but like Spanish films before.
Yeah,
Greta Gerwig.
Yeah, it's true.
She just did fucking Barbie.
Yeah.
The one thing I love about A24 and I love about all these movies is these names mean nothing to me. Martin Scorsese's name means something because of how much I admire his work in the past. Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Every time I go into an A24 movie and I don't know the name, I'm fucking surprised because I don't know what to expect. These are original visions, and Alex Garland, his vision of Civil War that we're doing this video on is probably going to be a lot different from his other movies. Yeah. Because this is a dystopian future, but it's not your like science fiction movie. Mm-hmm. And I just love A24 movies. I love art in general, and I wish there was more of it, that we didn't have to dick ride A24 so hard. But here we are making a top 10 when we usually only do top 5s.
Like every once in a while, like Fox Searchlight will put out something like this, but they're pretty much the closest thing.
Yeah.
To
Sony Classic.
Yeah.
Gave us Whiplash. Your number 2.
That was my number 2.
Okay.
My number 3 was your number 1, and your number 3 was my number 1.
Mid-90s is in my top 5 favorite movies of all time.
Really?
Mid-90s just felt like it was made for me as a person. I don't know about you. I think you can relate. 6th grade, everyone had this skateboarding phase.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Mine might have come a little bit earlier than that, but...
Skateboarding is cool as shit. Always loved the Tony Hawk video games. I understood why he transitioned to that. Mm-hmm. And his room went from Hulk Hogan and Macho Man wrestling buddies and Ninja Turtles to skateboarding. That was my fucking room. Yeah. That's my room now. I love Ninja Turtles and I still love wrestling. That shit's fire still, son. So, that moment in your life where you feel like you need to leave that stuff behind.
Are all the wrestling action figures in your bedroom?
No, I just like wrestling.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
You're not a figurine guy?
Yeah, some. But
okay.
That's a story for a different day. There's a huge detail of Ninja Turtles. That's what he's talking about. Context. Usually I'm the one leaving out context this way. Mid-90s. Just who Sunburn was as a kid represented like his likes and traits and shit. Not his life, but like what he liked related to that. His transition of feeling like you have to do this because you want friends, you want to be cool, but you don't love that stuff like you used to. Seeing those two little kids shoot each other with water guns. You see something cool. They're older kids. I've always had older friends. No offense. But
I'm older than you. It's fine.
It's just resonates with me. My favorite scene in Goodfellas, and one of my favorite movies of all time, plays in this fucking movie. You got the Wu-Tang Clan. You got Jay-Z. You got classic rap music that I love from the 90s playing in this movie. It's just made for me, I feel like, to a certain extent. And I love coming to age movies. They're my favorite genre of all time. And each personality, how much time Jonah Hill gives to everyone to make them lovable, likable, bring in the conflict. Everything has the most appropriate time, the dialogue, everything. These kids are genuine shitheads, and I love it because they're in that phase of their life where that's what you want to be as a kid. You want to be disrespectful to a certain extent. You want to have fun. You want to get in trouble and do shit like that because fuck the man. They will tell us what to do, break the rules, shit like that. Like, fuck that security guard.
How dare he do his job?
Yeah, talking about Jesus smoke Newports. Fuck you, man. I fucking love this movie to death.
Yeah.
Top 5 favorite movies of all time. The pacing in it, Jonah Hill's first directorial debut was just everything. For what I want in my movies, this film is perfect. and I'll save some stuff for him to say.
Cool. Yeah. I was born in 1990. And so a lot of the culture that Jonah Hill did an absolutely incredible job of bringing back to life is stuff that I remember quite vividly. The toys that he has in his room, the stuff his older brother has in his room is like, I had that stuff. I knew people who had friends who had that stuff. And like really cool bringing it back. And I really love like, you gotta quit smoking.
I don't smoke.
Newport Jesus over here.
Let my hair down.
Yeah, and also just like really love like what like skating like maybe I did have a skating phase, but it stuck with me a lot longer than it stuck with a lot of other people. I didn't just buy a Walmart board and like dick around with it for a couple weeks. Like I skated for years and I loved it, and I love what this movie does for showing what I don't know if it's still true or not. I'm not really super in touch with the kids these days, and I'm okay with admitting that. But at that specific point in time, skateboarding was like undisputably a counterculture, and I feel like now it's like a much more cooler, much more popular thing to, even if you don't do it, at least think is cool. It's also hard, like, and a lot of people don't understand that. And they pick up a board and like try to ollie 4 times and say, I don't know how to do this, and I'm going to hurt myself and quit. Which like that's fine. But what it represents for what it was back then, all of these kids some of them come from similar backgrounds, but like one of them's dad is abusive and a piece of shit. Homie's mom is just like, their dad's gone for whatever reason. Does it really get into that? I don't really think it really
No, I'm
gets
pretty
it.
sure Ruben's mom is the one who beats him.
Yeah, somebody's got an abusive parent.
4th grade's just dumb.
Yeah, 4th grade's just an idiot.
He's misunderstood.
Sonny is like that's the main guy, right?
His real life name is Sonny.
Yeah, right. Sunburn. Yeah.
Sunburn.
Yeah. So his mom is just like, she's got her own struggles. They clearly don't make a ton of money, but they have a house, which is still nice. But like, so they're not broke, but she's not paying. She's very focused on herself. She's not really paying a ton of attention to her kids.
I want to say she's focused on herself. She's trying to spend time with them, but they're at that age where they don't want it, and she isn't coping with it the best way. And because of the lack of communication,
it
puts them further apart.
At the point in the story we came into, she is trying to do that more. She clearly has not done that in the past, as Lucas Hedges tells us. He can never remember his name, because he remembers when she used to be bringing random dudes home and he'd have to listen to what was going on and all that stuff. So she clearly hasn't always been at that point. Maybe she's trying to turn things around.
But while Sonny was alive, they did Blockbuster nights every week. She was a different parent for the second child.
Okay, but the point is, he still does not feel like he's getting what he needs.
Yeah, but also it's very subtle. It's not in your face. Good directing.
Didn't you talk about the movie already?
I did.
Okay.
But it's one of my favorite movies. I love it.
It's
a conversation.
I'm fucking with you. So, yeah. One kid's mom beats the crap out of him. Fuck shit. Like, has good parents. Like, he comes from a good home. But for whatever reason, he's still... Like, I mean, I know plenty of kids that were like that. I know kids came from, like, parents that were loaded, but their parents didn't love them enough. Or in the right way. Or know how to show it. And they feel neglected. And skating culture was a lot of kids... Maybe now too, but definitely in that like time periods, escape from all of that, to make friends, to feel that freedom of riding around, to do something that's like probably not going to get you killed, but is still a little bit dangerous, to do it in places you're not supposed to do it, and say fuck the man and all that shit. And it was liberating to a ton of people, and I love that this movie shows that in such a really positive way. But I also love like the whole emotional beat of this movie is summed up in one line, because Sonny is looking for that. He wants friends. He wants people to like him. Like, he's clearly like not connecting with his mom in some way, shape, or form. His older brother treats him like shit, and like he just wants people to think that he's cool. And because he wants people to think that he's cool, he does dumb stuff. And I love when he's in the hospital and Ray says the line, like, you know, you take the hardest hits. And it shows Sonny and he like smiles because he thinks it's a compliment. Like, that's how important he feels, like he finally got that. Only to hear Ray say, you know, you don't have to do that, but in a way that clearly is insinuating that, like, that's not the right way. And that is who Ray has been to him this whole time, is someone trying to show him that, like, you can just be you. Like, you don't have to try to impress people. Like, you can just be you. And, like, I really love that. And everybody needs a friend like that. It's really important. So, great movie.
Beautiful.
Well spoken, sir.
Anything else to say about mid-90s?
Go watch it. This shit is too low on Rotten Tomatoes. Fuck Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, that's insane. I don't know about your list. Mid-90s has the lowest Rotten Tomatoes score out of all the movies on my list. And, like, that is wild to me.
Big L for Rotten
Look,
Tomatoes.
it's not a PC movie, and you think that that's why it's so
I do.
low. Maybe it is. Maybe not. I didn't read any of the reviews, but like,
Did I? Reading for prisoners.
anyways, your number 3, which is my number 1, is Everything Everywhere All at Once. Absolutely incredible movie. No secret now, especially that I love science fiction. It's such an interesting take on the genre. To use it in such an emotionally, like, just blasting way. This movie is weird in all of the right ways. I freaking love weird. It came at the perfect time when, like, all this multiversal type stuff was, like, super hype and popular. I guess it still technically is.
It was the start.
We're in the middle of it.
Like, just came before Doctor Strange.
It did come
And
before Doctor
Spider-Man.
Strange, but it didn't come before the first Spider-Verse movie, which clearly opened the door to all of that. But anyways, what I love about this movie is, A, it gives me insight to a family that is nothing like I've ever experienced before. And despite them being about as opposite from my family as you could possibly be, still making me care about and connect to them on an incredibly deep level. Ke Kwan's character in that movie, I absolutely love. He's so freaking nice. And I could see where she's coming. It's not necessarily a wrong thing to want someone who's more ambitious and, like, super career driven and making all these moves and stuff like that. But I have literally been in his shoes before and had someone, like, threaten to break up with me multiple times because they didn't like that I valued personal characteristics over, like, career ambition or school ambition and stuff like that. And, like, the whole point of this movie is that the most important fucking thing in this world is kindness. Which, like, I don't know if that statement alone is necessarily true, but it is up there. It is way up there. You can cure so many of your problems by just freaking being nice to people. And I love that that is the point of this movie. You don't have to agree. You don't have to agree with people. Like, you don't. You could still be freaking nice to them. And so that there's a character like that in cinema is so refreshing to me, specifically in, like, that specific scenario and in that light, and watching Evelyn go through this, like, absolutely balls to the wall, insane journey, and the whole point just to be that, like, she has been super bitter for a really long time. You have to let go of what you could have had, like, or else you are going to lose your family if you don't stop. And, like, getting to watch her reconcile with her daughter is wonderful. And I really, really love that part. But I love that they go from the reconciling with the daughter part to her reconciling with her husband part. Because a lot of people are going to feel differently than this. You obviously should love your children well. You should love your spouse more than you love anyone on this planet, including your children.
Explain yourself now!
And, like, a lot of people will disagree with that, and that's okay. If you want to get into, like, a big therapy session in the comments, let's go. I'm fine with that. I probably won't respond to you because I don't respond to anything. It's not personal. I just don't read the shit. But yeah, this movie it just hits every beat. Like, it's a story that is personal to me and my life experience. It's a genre that I love. The script is incredible. The performances are incredible. It is wacky and somehow still does it without being corny or over the top. And like the ending and the bow that this movie puts on itself is absolutely beautiful. It is easily like the first time I watch. This doesn't happen often. It might not ever happen again. I don't know. It's the only movie that I can think of where the first time that I watched it as an adult, I was like, this is one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. Like, Jurassic Park doesn't count because I was 4 the first time I watched it. And so, A, I didn't have a big pool of favorite movies to pick from. And B, it's freaking Jurassic Park and I was 4. Of course it was going to be one of my favorite movies of all time. But, yeah. Everything Everywhere All at Once. Wonderful movie.
That's facts. Agree with everything he said, as he said to most of my picks that were before his. This film, I think if you went to 100 people on YouTube that do film-related content, and you said, what's A24's best movie? I think this is the winner overall. Everything Everywhere All at Once, I think, is one of the greatest movies of all time. Top 25 without a doubt already. The greatest compliment I've ever received or heard about a movie was somebody I went to the cinema to watch this with. They looked over at me watching this movie because for whatever reason people love going to see movies with me because how much I love movies. And they get a different perspective talking to me afterwards and watching me, which I'm finding out. I watched a little kid watch Lion King. So much fucking fun.
Nice.
So having that and then someone telling you afterwards, I know why you love movies so much, and it's because of that movie. And that's rare. You don't get that shit all the time.
Yeah.
You hardly get that shit. So to have that compliment be said, I think is the greatest thing ever, and I'll leave it at that. But that's our top 10 favorite A24 movies of all time. Let us know in the comment section your top 10. Scroll back up and like button, share the video, and subscribe.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.